In the luxurious residential district of Val Harbor, Miami, the morning sun streamed through the glass windows of the mansion. It illuminated the dining room where breakfast was being prepared with great care on the marble counter. Fresh fruits, organic yogurt, and the aroma of freshly ground coffee filled the air. "Victor, will you be working late tonight?" Elena asked as she placed coffee in front of her husband. Her long blonde hair shimmered under the sunlight, and her simple dress radiated a natural elegance fitting for her position as a senior manager in a major accounting firm. "Yes, a big client meeting, probably discussing a new project," Victor replied while adjusting the cuffs of his expensive suit. As vice president of an investment bank, he always maintained an impeccable appearance. "That is what makes me happy." Elena smiled as she saw him off. The family gathered on weekends, and that was all that mattered to her. Family was everything. At the entrance, Victor gave her a light kiss and said, "I'm leaving." As she watched her husband drive away in his luxury car, Elena stood there wrapped in a quiet happiness. It felt like this perfect morning scene was routine, something that repeated every single day. The usual family gathering on Sunday was about to begin at the Castillo mansion. The soft light from the chandelier illuminated the antique china. "Elena, you look a little pale lately. Is work stressing you out?" Her mother Lucia asked with concern as she brought the fragrant roasted chicken to the table. Her home-cooked meals were always a delight for the family. "Why don't you reduce your workload a bit?" intervened her older sister Valeria with her perfect makeup and striking dress. As a luxury real estate agent, something else lurked beneath her words, a hint of judgment toward her sister. "I'm fine, just a little tired. Once this project is done, I'll take things easier." Elena smiled to reassure her family. Her father, Don Javier, had already launched into his typical stories about his days in investment banking. The same old tales of moving in high society and the secrets to making good deals. "In my time, trust was everything. Family bonds, business, everything starts with trust," Don Javier said while his wife Lucia nodded. "That's right. Maintaining appearances is the most important thing," Lucia replied as everyone settled down to enjoy the meal. That peaceful Sunday afternoon would be their last family gathering before everything changed. That Tuesday, Elena suddenly felt a strong discomfort during an important client meeting. Her colleagues looked at her worriedly as she quickly left the conference room. "You don't look well. You should see a doctor," her secretary Sophia asked with concern. Elena nodded weakly. "Mrs. Vargas, congratulations, you are pregnant," the doctor in the white coat said, smiling kindly. Elena was speechless at the doctor's words. It was a mix of joy and surprise. She could not believe it. The pregnancy, something so unexpected, enveloped her. She needed to tell her family immediately. She took out her phone and tried to leave a voicemail for her husband, but it was the start of a long series of unanswered rings. Days later, Elena returned to the hospital. The morning sickness had intensified, and the doctor recommended additional tests for precaution. The sound of the IV drip marked the rhythm of time in the silence. She gently placed her hand on her abdomen. Though still bewildered by the sudden pregnancy, a spark of joy bloomed inside her. Looking up, she noticed the large television mounted on the wall. She took the remote and turned it on. It was a summer holiday special featuring the latest Royal Caribbean cruise gliding majestically through emerald waters, offering the ultimate luxury experience aboard the world's largest cruise ship. As the narration continued, the screen showed scenes inside the ship, a luxurious dining hall, a spa pool, and the smiling faces of passengers relaxing on deck. "We spoke with some of our passengers," the voiceover said, and that was when it happened. It was a wonderful cruise. The profile of the man on the screen left no doubt. Victor was there in his expensive suit, and beside him Valeria in a striking summer dress clung to his arm. "These are going to be such enchanting holidays," Valeria said with her wide smile. Behind them, her parents were seen toasting with champagne. Elena could not believe what she was seeing. "It can't be," she murmured as her fingers trembled. She unlocked her smartphone and opened the joint bank app. Her hands shook slightly as she checked the account status. This cannot be real. A cold sweat ran down her back. She opened her phone history and saw messages from her husband saying he was away on business, and one from her parents saying they were going on a short trip. She also found a message from her sister, "I decided to take some time off." With still trembling fingers, she dialed her husband's number. After several rings, he finally answered. "What is it, Elena?" It was the same gentle and kind voice as always, but the truth hidden behind those words was shattering Elena's heart. "Victor, where are you?" She tried to sound as calm as possible. "In the office during an important meeting." The faint sounds of the deck could be heard through the phone. Elena took a deep breath, as if inhaling her last breath of life. "Enjoy it." Those words carried a coldness she had never experienced before. She hung up. Silence returned to the hospital room. The cruise special continued playing on the television, showing luxurious parties aboard, toasts with champagne and happy smiles. Everything seemed so distant now. Everyone had been deceiving her. A silent rage filled her entire being, the sadness of betrayal, the hatred, and the resolution. Elena slowly got up from the bed, walked to the window, and looked out at Miami. The embracing sun, the shining skyscrapers, and in the distance the port where cruises departed. This ends now, she thought, and those words sounded like a vow. She gently placed her hand on her stomach, feeling the new life within. Elena smiled, a smile full of sadness but also of hidden strength. "Mommy will make sure you have a happy life. I promise," she murmured as the sound of the IV drips echoed in the quiet hospital room. Elena took her phone and began searching for a lawyer's number. When the nurse entered with the test results, Elena's expression had changed. She looked calm, dignified, like someone who knew everything, filled with quiet determination. "Mrs. Vargas, here are your test results," the nurse said. "Thank you," Elena replied, bowing politely without showing any hesitation. Her hand took the envelope firmly. Her heart was already full of resolution for the battle ahead. 3 days after discharge, in a high-rise apartment in Miami, Elena sat silently in front of her computer in the dark room before dawn. The bluish light from the monitor illuminated her face. Valeria's private account appeared on the screen. Though normally locked, Elena had obtained the login information from her sister's ex-boyfriend, who, after being betrayed by Valeria in the past, had offered his cooperation without hesitation. The post was from a week ago, a photo taken on the ship's deck showing Valeria, her parents, and Victor toasting with champagne, all looking incredibly happy. Elena had been planning this for months. As she continued scrolling, more evidence emerged: conversations about crew reservations, confirmation of meeting places, and notes to ensure Elena never saw anything. "Do not tell her lately she has been getting sick so easily." The messages between Valeria and her mother said words wrapped in false kindness. Elena sighed deeply and moved to her next investigation. She accessed her husband's company email. The password she had noted last Christmas when he fell asleep now proved unexpectedly useful. The truth behind the nights he claimed were business dinners came to light one after another. Reservations for dinners with Valeria, receipts from luxury hotels, and inappropriate expenses processed through the company account. He had even used company money, improper accounting, using his position as vice president of the investment bank. Evidence of personal entertainment expenses recorded as client dinners. The amounts were not insignificant. "I have enough evidence." Elena took her smartphone and called the law firm. Despite the early hour, a divorce lawyer answered immediately. "Mrs. Vargas, indeed, we have received the materials," a calm voice replied on the other end of the line. "With this amount of evidence, we can proceed quite favorably, especially the evidence of improper accounting at the company, which is crucial." "Thank you, but this is not over yet." Elena returned to her computer. Now it was time to investigate her parents, the history of the account where her father's retirement money was deposited, her mother's social event planning company finances, and her sister's real estate transaction records. Everything was connected. Part of her father's retirement money had flowed into her sister's real estate company. From there, the funds moved to her husband's investment projects. Though they appeared as legitimate transactions on the surface, they were actually tax evasion and money laundering. So this is what family bonds meant, she thought with a bitter smile. Elena organized the evidence one by one: photos, emails, transaction records, all saved as digital data ready to be made public at any moment. "Madam, everything is ready." At 10 o'clock, in front of the mountain of documents brought by the lawyer, Elena nodded silently. Divorce, mediation, filing for property division, and internal whistleblowing to the company. "Once we file this, there is no turning back." The lawyer's words were clear. Elena gave a slight smile. "My life has already reached a point of no return." Outside the window, Miami was bustling in the morning light. The sunlight reflecting off the skyscrapers seemed to shine in support of her resolution. "Then let's begin the procedures." She signed the documents one by one. Only the sound of the pen moving across the paper echoed in the quiet office. The social media posts were also ready. The tablet delivered by the assistant already had the post prepared. "To my beloved family, thank you for the wonderful memories and goodbye." The attached photo was from that moment on the cruise, the intimate scene between her husband and her sister, her parents drinking champagne. Everything told the story of their false happiness. The post could be made public at any moment, just like the company misconduct report. Elena slowly stood up, walked to the window looking out at Miami, and said softly, "Tomorrow at 9 in the morning, let's make everything public when they wake up." There was no hesitation in her voice. This was not revenge. It was a battle to reveal the truth, restore justice, and above all, a battle for her unborn child. Baby, can you hear Mommy's resolve? She gently placed her hand on her stomach. The warm pulse of life strengthened her determination even more. Elena returned home for the last night before leaving. In the living room, family photos were displayed, the photo of her wedding, memories of trips with her parents, a smiling shot with her sister. Everything was a lie, but things would be different now. I am starting a new life. Elena silently packed the photos one by one into a box along with the memories of the past. She sealed the false bonds in that box. With tomorrow's dawn, her new story would begin. The next morning, Elena woke up. Outside, the city was slowly awakening. From the distant sea, a horn sounded announcing the cruise ship's return. Welcome home, dear family. With an ironic smile, Elena began her preparations. She checked the final confirmation email from her lawyer. All documents were in order. Well then, let's begin. The first move was the social media post. To my beloved family, thank you for the wonderful memories. The snapshots from the cruise showed her husband and sister intimately close, her parents toasting with champagne. Everything eloquently told the story of their betrayal. When the cruise arrived at port, Elena's smartphone began to vibrate. Social media notifications arrived one after another, shocking comments from friends, messages of sympathy and voices of anger. The post spread instantly. A commotion swept through Miami high society. Local news sites published their first articles. Investment bank vice president suspected of misconduct. Luxury cruise reveals inappropriate relationship. Elena calmly watched the screen, ignoring incoming calls, and proceeded with the planned steps. Mrs. Vargas, all procedures have been completed. Her lawyer informed her over the phone about the divorce mediation, filing a property division claim and a compensation claim for damages against her husband's company. Then came the call from her husband. Elena, what is this? Welcome back, Victor. Did you enjoy the cruise? Her voice was icy on the other end. Her husband stumbled over his words. This is not, let me explain, please. Handle everything through the lawyers. Goodbye. Elena ended the call. Then came calls from her parents, followed by her sister. Ignoring all incoming calls, Elena moved to the next phase. At 10 in the morning, local TV stations began broadcasting breaking news. Fraud scandal shakes Miami high society. On the screen, the cruise ship that had just arrived at port showed figures of her husband and sister disembarking. They covered their faces and ran toward their car while journalists gathered around. Elena, on her part, remained unmoved. Her mother's anguished voice remained on voicemail. What about our reputation, our position? Finally, Elena understood in the most painful way the importance of appearances. Murmuring to herself, she opened new emails, requests for interviews from TV stations, offers of magazine coverage. She politely rejected them all. She did not need the media for her justice. At 2 in the afternoon, a contact from her husband's company notified her. We have initiated an internal investigation regarding Vice President Langford. She could hear her husband's career crumbling. Her sister's call came later, a blurry message with tears. Please forgive me, please. Elena did not hesitate for a second. She deleted and blocked all contacts. Everything was severed. By nightfall came the final report from her lawyer. The other party has proposed a settlement. It is a considerable amount. It is not necessary. Elena replied with a firm voice. Please reveal everything. This was not a problem that could be solved with money. On television, they were broadcasting special news. Her husband appeared on the screen, exhausted, fleeing from journalists. Her sister cried uncontrollably and her parents were stunned. That same night, her husband sent one last message. Everyone, you taught me the true meaning of family. After sending her reply, Elena turned off her smartphone. Outside, the nighttime view of Miami sparkled. Well, it is time to start packing for the move. Looking at her reflection in the floor-to-ceiling windows, Elena smiled. The life in her womb pulsed with a steady beat. Let's begin our new life. In her high-rise apartment, she began silently packing all the photo frames into boxes, the expensive furniture and those to discard. Only the essentials would come to her new life. Goodbye, we will never meet again. Elena took one last look around the living room. All the memories, there were lies, but things would be different now. She closed the door in silence. The sound echoed like a bell announcing her departure from the past. 1 year later, the office of Elena Vargas Accounting on the 14th floor of a high-rise building was full of morning activity. Through the glass walls, the crystal waters of the bay could be seen. Emma, Mommy's treasure. Elena gently kissed her daughter's forehead. In a corner of the office, a soundproofed glass-enclosed nursery was installed. 3-month-old Emma was having her quiet nap there, watched by a nanny. Ms. Vargas, the preparations for the meeting are complete. Her secretary Sarah delivered the documents. Elena nodded with a smile. 1 year after becoming independent, her accounting firm had already established a solid reputation. Our new clients today are from the Single Mothers Support Organization. Several women were waiting in the conference room. They were board members of the foundation chapter that Elena had established based on her own experience. She had also begun supporting women in difficulties. Thanks to you, Elena, my life has changed. One of the board members spoke through tears. Many of the women who received support had begun to walk new paths in life. Legal support, vocational training, and above all, meeting others who shared similar experiences, these had become invaluable sources of hope for them. All of you are my pride. After the meeting, Elena returned to her office overlooking the bay. A Miami newspaper was on her desk. The article showed the exhausted figure of Victor facing the full extent of the accounting fraud. Not only civil lawsuits but also criminal charges. After posting bail, he had moved from his luxury apartment to a cheap one and remained unemployed. Her sister had lost her real estate license and all her assets were gone. Rumors said she now worked part-time in a luxury boutique. All her striking dresses and expensive jewelry supposedly had been pawned. Her parents had been completely banished from high society, leaving their luxury neighborhood in Miami to live quietly in a rural town in Florida. No one else attended her mother's birthday parties and her father had become something of a recluse. Elena quietly closed the newspaper. She no longer felt anger or hatred toward him, only a silent satisfaction. Justice had been served. Her daughter woke up, extending her arms with a smile. "Good morning, my angel." The moment she lifted her, a warm happiness enveloped her entire body. This little life was everything in her new world. The soft spring sunlight filtered into the office. In the afternoon, on her desk, a photo frame held a smiling image of her with Emma and another group photo with the foundation members of the new chapter. That was her new family. "Miss Vargas, we have contact from a new client." Sarah brought some documents. "It is a Seattle startup requesting your services as accounting advisor for their rapidly growing company." "Let's see it immediately." Elena responded with a vibrant expression as she approached the work. She was more focused than ever. At dusk, Elena finished work early and took Emma to the waterfront park. The spring breeze gently caressed her hair. "Good evening, Miss Vargas." A man smiled at her from a park bench. The local pediatrician. "It seems we are meeting more often lately." "Good evening, Dr. Johnson." The conversation flowed easily from Emma's health checkups to the best restaurants in Seattle. "If you want, maybe we could have dinner sometime." Elena nodded slightly to his shy invitation. "Thank you, I will think about it." That night in her penthouse, Elena was lost in thought as she put Emma to bed. Maybe life still holds wonderful surprises. "Hey, Emma." Elena spoke softly while looking at her sleeping daughter's face. "Mommy is happy. I have found true happiness." Outside the window, the nighttime view of Seattle sparkled. A new city, a new job, new encounters, and above all, a new life with her beloved daughter. This was a perfect victory, a perfect happiness. Elena kissed her daughter's forehead with a contented heart. Tomorrow would bring another new day, a bright day full of hope. Thank you for listening to today's story. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. See you in the next story.